Hi Nana, good morning. See, we have discussed about ionic bond formation and ionic compounds. What are ionic compounds? Ionic compounds are the compounds that contain ionic bond in them. So ionic compounds are the compounds which contains ionic bond in them. Such compounds are said to be ionic compounds. So now we are going to learn about the properties of ionic compounds. So what are the properties that are exhibited by such ionic compounds? The compounds which contain ionic bond. So out of several properties, so the first property is physical state. So what is the state of the ionic compounds? Generally, ionic compounds are mostly crystalline solids. Ionic compounds are crystalline solids. See, X-ray studies. X-ray studies have proven that X-ray studies has proved that the ionic compounds, the molecules present in the ionic compounds, they are not true molecules. For example, take a ionic compound sodium chloride. If you take sodium compound sodium chloride, example if I take sodium chloride compound, see this sodium chloride compound how it is formed. This sodium chloride compound, it's a crystalline solid. It's a crystalline solid. So how a crystalline solid of sodium chloride is formed? For example, if you take if you study that crystalline solid, so actually sodium chloride it is generally written as NaCl. Okay, NaCl. Generally we will write it as NaCl. Sodium chloride means NaCl. But these are not true molecules. These are not true molecules. Why they are not true molecules? Because if you see this crystal of NaCl, every sodium atom it is surrounded by every sodium ion it is surrounded by chloride ion. So how many chloride ions? It is surrounded by 6 chloride ions. Already we have seen. See below sodium ion 1 chloride ion and above 1 chloride ion. So this side 1 chloride ion, that side 1 chloride ion, and in front to this. So front of this one, before this sodium there is 1 chloride ion, and behind this sodium also there is 1 chloride ion. So that means every ion it is surrounded by its oppositely charged ions. Okay, see look here, force of attraction is there because oppositely charged. In turn, these ions are also again they are this chloride ion is again surrounded by sodium ions, again 6 sodium ions. So like this. Okay, again this sodium is again surrounded by chloride ions. So in this way, and this chloride ion is surrounded by sodium ions. Okay, and this sodium ion is again surrounded by chloride ions. Okay, sodium ion, chloride ion, sodium ion, chloride ion. So like this. So this this compound, it is an extended structure, three-dimensionally extended structure along x-axis, along y-axis, and even along z-axis also. The compound is the arrangement of ions is extended. So in that case, how can you say if I say NaCl, so which NaCl? Is it this NaCl or this NaCl or this NaCl or this NaCl? We cannot say. We cannot say which NaCl it is. Okay, as Na is bonded with so many chloride ions, and in turn chlorine is bonded with so many sodium ions, we cannot say individually that these molecules exist. these molecules individually does not exist. Okay, hence this compound, that means NaCl compound. So if you see the constituents means the things which are present in NaCl compound is sodium ions and chloride ions. So these constituents, the constituents which are present in this ionic compound, they are not true molecules. Okay, because we cannot say which sodium and which chloride will form a bond. There is bond, so you will find bond everywhere. So if I say sodium chloride, which sodium and which chlorine, I cannot say that which chloride and which sodium is bonded, because every sodium is bonded to every so many chlorines. Every chlorine is bonded to so many sodiums. So we cannot say, in such case we cannot say such molecules are true molecules. That means the constituents of ionic compounds, they are not true molecules. Simply they are aggregates, they are groups of cations and anions. Simply we can say that they are aggregates of cations and anions, and they are held together. They are held, each ion is held, all the ions are held together, okay, with strong electrostatic forces. Okay, the strength of the ionic bond is very large in this case. Okay, and because of electrostatic force of attraction, all the ions, they stand in their positions fixedly. That means they have fixed positions. They cannot move from their position, original position. They cannot interchange their positions. Okay, so that means the position of ions in the ionic compound is rigid. It is fixed. Okay, so these ions cannot move from one place to another place. So in this way, hence we call it as solid, and as it is forming crystals like structure, as it is forming crystals, they are called as crystalline solids. In crystal solids, so the ions are held in certain positions and they do not move from their positions. They are fixed in their positions. So like this, so the physical state of the ionic compounds will be. So that means if you talk about physical state, the ionic compounds are crystalline solids. They exist naturally. Most of the ionic compounds, they naturally exist in the form of crystalline solids. Now let us learn the next property, melting points and boiling points. Next property is melting points and boiling points. What is melting point? What is melting point? Melting point means the temperature, or the point at which a solid melts into liquid. That means melting point is also called as melting temperature. Melting temperature. And boiling point is called as boiling temperature. Boiling temperature. Okay. See, what is melting temperature then? Melting temperature means the temperature at which a solid is converted into liquid. A constant temperature. We have to call it as a constant temperature. A constant temperature. A constant temperature at which solid converts into liquid is said to be melting temperature, or simply melting point. And even boiling point is also like that only. It is also a constant temperature, okay, at which liquid converts into vapor. Liquid converts into vapor. So at constant temperature, when a liquid converts into vapor, and that temperature is said to be boiling temperature of that liquid. Okay, actually here the melting points and boiling points of ionic compounds are very high. They are very high. Why they are very high? Because these ionic compounds, in these ionic compounds, the force of attractions between the oppositely charged ions, already we have seen, there are very strong force of attraction between the oppositely charged ions. Hence all the ions are they are packed tightly, okay, and they form a crystalline solid. So in order to convert the solid substance into liquid substance, we have to break all the bonds. When all the bonds are broken, when all the bonds are weakened at least, then only these ions will be set into free ions. So to make the tightly packed ions into free ions, what we have to do? We have to break the forces of attraction between the ions, or else at least the forces of attraction between the ions should be weakened. Okay, so that the ions, you'll get free ions. So the conversion of in this state, in this form it is solid state, and when the ions, when the force of attraction are weakened, then the substance will convert into liquid substance. To convert solid substance into liquid substance, here we are breaking the forces. To break the forces, it requires some energy, and that energy is given to this substance in the form of heat energy. That means when this substance is heated, what happens? All the force of attraction are broken between the ions, and ions will set into free ions. Okay, and to heat this one, it requires some temperature. Okay, it requires very high temperatures. So that means melting temperature is very high, or else simply melting points are very high for ionic compounds, because of the strong electrostatic force of attraction. Because of the strong electrostatic force of attraction between the oppositely charged ions. So in order to break those forces of attraction, it requires large amount of energy. Okay, so that they can interchange their positions and they can move freely. Okay, they will move from their position to some other positions. They can easily freely move. Okay, so that is why to melt ionic compounds into liquid solid ionic compounds into liquid ionic compounds, it requires very high temperatures. So that is why ionic compounds, they possess high melting points, and even boiling points also they possess very high. So generally, when melting points are high, boiling points are also will also be high. In general, we can have a general discussion that when melting points are high, the boiling points of the substance also will be high. So like this, so the second property, melting points and boiling points can be discussed. So here melting points and boiling points of ionic compounds are very high. The reason for this is because they are in solid form, so hard crystalline solid form. Okay, so to break the force of attraction between the ions and set these ions into free ions, it requires more energy. Okay, so that to provide that energy, so we have to heat to higher temperatures. So when we heat to higher temperatures, that we are providing higher temperatures means their melting points is very high. Nice. Next, third property is density. Density of the ionic compounds. If you speak, what is density? Density is nothing but number of ions present in unit volume. Number of ions. Number of ions present in unit volume. Present in unit volume. Of the substance. If you take some volume of the substance, so the number of ions present in that given volume is very, very large, because all the ions are closely packed. When the ions are closely packed, so many ions will come closer and closer, and within the given volume, what happens? So many ions are packed. That means generally ionic compound, their density will be high. That means the number of ions present in the unit volume of the substance will be high. What is the reason for the high density? What is the reason for high density means when the number of ions are when the number of ions in unit volume is more. Number of ions per unit volume. When number of ions per unit volume increases, then density increases. Density increases. So when does the number of ions per unit volume increases? When the electrostatic force of attraction, when the electrostatic force of attraction is high between the ions, when the electrostatic force of attraction is more, or else when the electrostatic force of attraction increases between the ions, all the ions, they will come closer and closer because strong force of attraction between them. So then the number of ions per unit volume increases. When the number of ions per unit volume increases, then the density of the substance is said to be increased. So there is a relationship between all these things. Okay, that means when the electrostatic force of attraction in ionic compounds, electrostatic force of attractions are very high. Hence all the ions are tightly packed, then density will be more. So like this, the density, density is one of the property of ionic compound, and density is more. Okay, they have high density. Simply, ionic compounds possess high density, we can say. They possess high density. Right, next property is they are highly soluble in water. Ionic compounds are highly soluble in water. So fourth property is highly soluble in water. Highly soluble in water. So actually in water, see, suppose soluble in water means here water is acting as what? Solvent. What is solvent? Solvent is the substance, it dissolves something into it. So this water is dissolving ionic compounds into it. For example, take water. If you take water, so into that water, if you add some sodium chloride, some crystals of sodium chloride, what happens? Those crystals will disappear after some time. So into water, if you add sodium chloride crystals and simply stir it for some time, these crystals will disappear. What is happening here? What is happening? See, in the crystal, in every crystal, you will find the force of attraction. You will find sodium ions and chloride ions, oppositely charged ions. Okay, already we have seen this also so many times. See what is happening in this process. Let us learn. Okay. So like this. So all the ions, they are closely packed, tightly packed. Okay. So like this. So everywhere you will find force of attraction. So three-dimensionally, towards the front and towards the back side also, you will find this extended. Okay, three-dimensionally extended structures. So when such crystal is kept in water, what happens? See, if you discuss about solvents are of two types. Solvents are of two types. What are they? Polar solvents and non-polar solvents. Non-polar solvents. polar solvents, non-polar solvent. Best example for polar solvent is water itself. Non-polar solvents, example benzene, petrol, kerosene, etc. Kerosene, carbon tetrachloride. So this is called as carbon tetrachloride, carbon disulfide. Okay, so etc. So many non-polar solvents are present in the nature. Suppose if I take I will compare these two solvents. So polar solvent with non-polar solvent. For example, here I said water is a polar solvent. That means sodium chloride crystals, when I dissolve in water, what happens? Those crystals will dissolve after some time. They disappear. They disappear means what is happening? They are dissolving. But the same sodium chloride crystals, when I put in kerosene, the same sodium chloride. Here, what is the liquid I have taken? Kerosene. Kerosene is also solvent. Here it is water. Here what solvent I have taken? Water. And sodium chloride I have added in kerosene here. So these are the crystals of sodium chloride. These are the crystals of sodium chloride. What happens to the sodium chloride crystals when dissolved in kerosene, when added to kerosene liquid? These crystals, they remain as crystals only. They do not disappear even after stirring for longer time. Even after stirring this mixture, stirring means agitate. That means kalpadam. Okay. So stirring, after stirring also, this sodium chloride is not dissolved in kerosene, whereas the sodium chloride, crystals of sodium chloride is dissolved in water very easily. What is the reason for this? Because water is a polar solvent and kerosene is a non-polar solvent. Non-polar solvents, they cannot dissolve ionic compounds in them, whereas polar solvents can dissolve ionic compounds in them. See, what does these polar solvents have that speciality? What is the specialty of polar solvent? See, if you take water, the structure of water. So this is the structure of water. Already we have seen in our previous class that water is a polar substance. Polar covalent bond it is having. So that means because of the presence of this bond is polar covalent bond. Because of the presence of polar covalent bond, so you will find charge separation. So this bond is separated by two charges, opposite charges. So to one end you will find partial positive charge, and to the other end of this bond partial negative charge. And even this bond is also polar covalent bond. And here also, so here also you will find partial negative charge and partial positive charge. So that means this water, not only this water, every polar covalent substance, covalent substances, they contain charge separation in those molecules. That means between the atoms you will find charge separation, and between these atoms also you will find charge separation. Whenever the charge separation is present in the molecule, so these molecules will behave differently. How? Let us see. Suppose, so these are the water molecules. These are water molecules. So several lakhs of water molecules are present in this substance. I mean, in this mixture, several lakhs of water molecules are there. Several lakhs or several crores. And here sodium chloride crystal. So this is the sodium chloride crystal. What happens? See, these water molecules, they slowly surround. See, simply I am drawing the sodium chloride crystal here. So this the sodium chloride crystal, it is surrounded by so many water molecules like this. So many water molecules. So I am drawing these water molecules like this. H2O. So many water molecules, they surround this crystal. and this crystal actually it is having sodium and chlorine. So how in depth, if we see in depth, how the in depth diagram will be. So this is sodium, let us assume, and this is chlorine. Okay, and there is a bond between the sodium and chlorine. Okay, here like this. What happens? So these are the water molecule. This is a water molecule. So now this water molecule is having positive ends and negative end, and here also positive end and negative end. So this is the positive portion of crystals. These are negative portions of crystals. What happens? So now the water molecules are arranged in such a way that the positive portion of the crystal so will be attached to the negative portion of the water molecules. That means water molecules will surround the crystals in this fashion, because oxygen end is negative end. So in this way, so these oxygen molecules, in this way, what happens? Here what is happening? This sodium ion is surrounded by water molecules. This is a water molecule, this is another water molecule, and this is another molecule. So like this, so many water molecules are surrounded. Simply to make you clear, I have done only 3 molecules. So every ion is surrounded by water molecules, so many water molecules, and these water molecules are arranged in such a way that the negative end of the water molecule will be attracted towards the positive end of the sodium chloride, and towards chlorine. How the water molecules are arranged? See, towards chlorine, if you see H plus ions, that means hydrogens, the positive portions of the water molecule will be arranged towards the negative ion, chloride ion. See, like this. So this is one water molecule, this is another water molecule. Okay, and this is another water molecule. See what is happening? So these are hydrogens are positive ends of the water molecules. So chlorine is a negative end. So what happens? So these positive ends, they surround the chloride ion, negative end. They start attracting with each other. What happens? These oxygen molecules will attract sodium ion, and these hydrogen atoms, or these hydrogen atoms will attract the chloride ion. These hydrogen atoms, they start pull this chloride ion this side, and these oxygen atoms, they start pulling the sodium ion this side. Okay, that means these water molecules, these water molecules will pull this sodium ion so towards left side, and these water molecules will pull this chloride ion towards right side. So as a result of this, what happens? So the force of attraction between the sodium and chlorine is broken down. The force of attraction between the sodium and chlorine is broken down, and now these two ions are set into free ions. Before that these two ions, sodium ion and chloride ion, they were strongly attracted to each other. Okay, and they are in the form of crystals. Now what happened? So these two ions are separated from the crystal. See, look here, this ion is separated. The force of attraction with this one and this one is broken down, and here also between water molecules are surrounded. This chloride ion also, and every chloride ion is surrounded by water molecules, and every sodium ion is also surrounded by water molecules, and those water molecules, they will pull sodium ions and chloride ions towards themselves, so that the force of attraction between the sodium ion and chloride ion will be broken down. Okay, when the force of attraction between these two ions are broken down, what happened? They are set into free ions now. That means these ions, the crystal will break down into free ions. So that means the crystal will disappear. When all the ions are separated from the crystal, what happens? The crystal will disappear. slowly every ion will start separating from the crystal, because the water molecules will pull away these ions. The water molecules will pull away these ions into the water, into this solution. So what happens? Gradually the size of the crystals gradually decreases, because the ions are being they are removed from the crystal into the solution, so that the size of the crystal gradually decreases, and finally that crystal will disappear. So in this way the process of dissolution occurs when ionic solid is kept in water. Water means polar solvent. When ionic solids are kept in polar solvents, these ionic solids, they dissolve, or else they break down into ions. Okay, and therefore the crystals will disappear, and the solid crystal will convert into liquid substance. Whereas when the ionic substance, if we keep in a non-polar solvent, they do not have that ability. Non-polar solvents, they do not have such charge separation in their molecules. Okay, non-polar substances, they do not have charge separation in their molecules. When they do not have charge separation in their molecules, what happens? When non-polar substances do not have any charge separation in their molecules, so they cannot separate the ions, because here, as these are polar substances, or else polar molecules, or else polar solvents, they have charges, and due to their charges, what happens? They will attract the ions from the crystal, and they will separate the ions. So gradually all the ions will be separated from the solid crystal, and finally the crystal will disappear. But here kerosene does not have that ability, because kerosene does not have any charges between the atoms. As it is a non-polar solvent, it does not have any charge separation within the atoms. So that means all the kerosene molecules, they cannot separate the sodium ions and chloride ions from each other. They cannot separate these ions from the crystals of sodium chloride. Hence the sodium chloride crystal does not disappear. So that is why polar ionic substances are said to be highly soluble in water. Why they are highly soluble in water? Because water is a polar solvent. As water is a polar solvent, so water has ability to separate the ions. Okay, so the ability of a molecule, look here, these water molecules, they are able to separate the sodium ion and chloride ion separately. These have ability to separate the ions, oppositely charged ions. The force of attraction between the oppositely charged ions is broken down. It is broken down by these water molecules. Okay, the ability of these water molecules to break down the force of attraction between the ions is said to be dielectric constant. It is called as dielectric constant. What is dielectric constant? Dielectric constant. What is dielectric constant? So it is one of the property of liquid. The property by which a solvent can break the force of attraction. A solvent can break the force of attraction. The property by which a solvent can break the force of attraction between the oppositely charged ions. Oppositely charged ions. Okay. Okay, and so this property, so here this water is having that property, that ability, property or else ability, simply we can call it as ability, that ability of a substance to break the force of attraction between the oppositely charged ions. So this water is having that ability, whereas suppose if you take sodium chloride and kerosene molecule, suppose this is kerosene molecule, this is kerosene molecule, let us assume these are kerosene molecules, like how the water molecules, they are surrounded the chloride ion. So in the same way, if we assume the kerosene molecules, they do not form they do not surround like this, but because when we kept any compound in any solvent, so we can assume that these are present, these molecules, the non-polar solvent molecules, are also surrounded by ions, let us assume. But here these molecules, they cannot pull the oppositely charged ions away from each other. So here these molecules, these kerosene molecules, they cannot pull these molecules, these ions separately, or else they cannot break the force of attraction between the oppositely charged ions, and they cannot separate these ions into free ions. These molecules, they do not have that ability. Okay, so that means their ability is very less, hence these ions cannot be separated. So kerosene molecules, these are kerosene molecules, they cannot separate these ions. Okay, so as they are not cannot separate these ions, they are said to be having very less dielectric constant, whereas water is having more dielectric constant. Because of the more dielectric constant of water, so that water can easily separate these ions which are bonded together with strong force. So these ions can be separated from each other by the water because of high dielectric constant of water. So like this. So in this way we can discuss about the solubility property. So in general we can say that organic solvents are organic solvents. So these are called as organic solvents also. Non-polar solvents means organic solvents. Organic solvents. They are also called as organic solvents. Non-polar solvents or organic solvents. Okay. They cannot break ionic bond. Okay, these solvents, they cannot break the ionic bond. So thus ionic compounds do not dissolve in ionic these covalent compounds. These are also called as pure covalent solvents. Pure covalent solvents. Pure covalent solvents. Okay. See, water molecules can easily break the ionic bonds of the ionic compounds. The ionic bonds between the ions, so they can be easily broken down by the water molecules. Thus the ions, they drift in water, that means they separate in water in all possible directions. So that means the sodium ion will move in this direction, chlorine will move in this direction. So another sodium will move another direction, another chlorine will move in another direction. So that means all the ions are they are separated from each other, and they will move in different directions into the solution, and finally they become free ions in the solution. Okay, so like this. And there is a saying known as like dissolves like. Like dissolves like. So that is the important thing. So about solubility, before discussing solubility, we have to we have to say that solubility of any substance. If we discuss about solubility, so this point we have to discuss. What is that point? Like dissolves like. What What is the meaning of this statement? Like dissolves like. Like dissolves like means ionic, polar solvents can dissolve polar substances. Polar solvents can dissolve polar substances or even ionic substances. Okay, into them. Polar solvents can dissolve polar substances or ionic substances into them, whereas non-polar solvents can dissolve non-polar substances. They can dissolve non-polar substances only into them. Non-polar substances, they are also called as pure covalent substances. They are also called as pure covalent substances. So that means non-polar solvents can dissolve non-polar substances only, whereas polar solvents can dissolve polar substances only. Okay, and even they can dissolve ionic substances also, because polar substances they possess charge separation. They possess charge separation in their molecules. Because of their charge separation in their molecules, they can dissolve polar substances or even ionic substances. They can dissolve polar substances or even ionic substances. Whereas in non-polar solvents, no charge separation in their molecules between the atoms in their molecules, in their molecules, as there is no charge separation between the atoms in their molecules, so they cannot dissolve ionic substances. So these non-polar solvents cannot dissolve ionic substances. In the same way, polar solvents cannot dissolve non-polar substances. Polar solvents can dissolve only polar solvents or polar substances or ionic substances, whereas non-polar solvents can dissolve only non-polar substances. Okay, so this cannot dissolve these substances and this cannot dissolve these substances. So like this. So that means whenever we discuss about the term solubility, we have to discuss about this statement also. Like dissolves like. That means polar solvents can dissolve only polar substances or ionic substances, and non-polar solvents can dissolve only non-polar substances. These substances cannot dissolve ionic substances, and these substances cannot dissolve these substances. Okay, so like this. So it is not possible. So here this is possible. Like dissolves like. Okay, here also like dissolves like. Polar solvents cannot dissolve non-polar substances. In the same way, non-polar substances cannot dissolve polar substances, or they cannot dissolve ionic substances. Because in ionic substances also there is charge separation. In polar substances also there is charge separation. So here you will find charge separation. As there is charge separation in these cases, they can dissolve with polar solvents, because polar solvents also have charge separation. But non-polar substances, they do not possess charge separation. Okay, here also these are also do not possess charge separation. Okay, they do not have charge separation, hence they can dissolve each other. They have charge separation, hence they also can dissolve each other. So that means when charge separation is present in solvent and solute, then they can dissolve each other. I mean, they can mix with each other. That means they can dissolve. So like this, solubility can be explained. Now the other property. What is the other property? Next property is conduction. Ionic compounds, they are good conductors of heat and electricity. Ionic compounds are good conductors of heat and electricity. The fifth property. See, actually, conduction of, what is the meaning of conduction? Conduction means to allow to pass through them. For example, if any substance is conducting electricity, that means electricity is passing through that substance. The meaning of that is electricity is passing through that substance. Suppose copper wire, if you take copper wire, it can conduct electricity. Copper wire can conduct electricity. So that is why we use copper wire for different connections in our house. If you speak about ionic compounds, they are good conductors. They are good conductors of heat and electricity. See, particularly electricity, mostly electricity. Okay. So now we will discuss about the electricity point of view. See, to conduct electricity, the primary thing, the most required thing is, for the conduction of electricity, so the required thing is either presence of free electrons or presence of free ions. When free electrons are present, then that substance can conduct electricity, or else when free ions are present in that substance, then also it can conduct electricity. So if there are no free electrons or no free ions, then that substance cannot conduct electricity. For example, take copper wire. So it is a solid substance. So if it is a solid substance, it should contain free electrons. If it is a liquid substance, for liquid substance, there should be free ions. For solid substance, there should be free electrons. If you take a copper wire, in copper wire you will find free electrons. As free electrons are present in copper wire, then copper is said to be good conductor of electricity. In the same way, if you take liquids, in liquids if there is free ions, then they can conduct electricity. Take example if you take, see, these liquids are also again two types. One is molten liquid. What is molten the meaning of molten liquid? Molten liquid means melt. When solid is melted into liquid, then that liquid is said to be molten liquid. So it is obtained by heating the solid. When solid is heated, then it turns into liquid. Okay. If that liquid contains free electrons, if that liquid contains free ions, then that liquid will conduct electricity. If the liquid is not having any free ion, then that liquid cannot conduct electricity. In the same way, aqueous solution, aqueous solution. What is the meaning of aqueous solution? Aqueous solution means how aqueous solution is prepared? When a substance is dissolved in water, then it forms aqueous solution. So aqueous solution is also a liquid form, and even molten state is also a liquid form. So in these states, either in aqueous solution or else in molten solution, if there are free ions only, then only those liquids will conduct electricity. If a liquid is not having any free ion, so if the liquid does not have any free ions, then that liquid does not conduct electricity. Okay, so here ionic compounds in their liquid form, when ionic compounds are melted, for example, if you melt sodium chloride, the solid sodium chloride, when it is turned into liquid sodium chloride, then the ions will become free ions, because the force of attraction between the ions is broken down when solid is converted into liquid. So what happens in that state? You will find free ions. Whenever the free ions are present, then conduction of electricity takes place. And even when sodium chloride, when ionic substances are dissolved in water, these ionic substances, as they are soluble in water, they can easily form free ions. That means when any ionic solid is dissolved in water, so it forms free ions. That means aqueous solution of ionic substances. Aqueous solution of ionic substances. Aqueous solution of ionic substances, and molten liquid of ionic substance. Molten liquid of ionic substances and aqueous solution of ionic substances. Both such liquids, they contain free ions.